The Commanders have been disappointing this year from their coaching, defense, and offense. But there is one bright spot on this team, and that is quarterback Sam Howell. Yes, the 5th round pick, who's only had one start before the season, has become the brightest spot for this Commanders team. And after the last few weeks, I thought this was an interesting topic to talk about. Sam Howell entered the NFL in the 2022 draft, a draft that many would say lacked quarterback talent, as only one quarterback got selected in the first round. Later in the draft, in the 3rd and 4th rounds, we would see other top quarterbacks go like Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, and even Bailey Zappi. Sam Howell still undrafted until the 5th round when he was selected with the 145th pick, the first pick in the 5th round by the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell wasn't seen as a perfect prospect, as many said he was too small, lacked accuracy, and would get too happy with his feet. But the North Carolina quarterback was finally drafted. In his first season, he would be the backup to Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke. Until the last game of the season, Sam Howell would have 169 passing yards and 1 passing and rushing touchdown, and won his first ever NFL start versus the Dallas Cowboys. Heading into the season, people had high hopes for the Commanders, starting with their top 10 defense from the year before, the comeback of Chase Young, rookie Emmanuel Forbes, and their great defensive line. And the media was very interested in this offense. Revamped offensive line with Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates, Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson's second-year breakout, the addition of Eric Bieniemy, and of course the quarterback situation with Sam Howell. As we see in hindsight, this excitement for this team quickly changed to disappointment, except for one spot. Through the first 7 weeks of the season, the team as a whole was disappointing, letting the Broncos score 35 points, letting the Bears score 40 points and win by 20 points, lost to the Giants 14-7, and were 3-4 after the first 7 games. Sam Howell had a ton of ups and downs. An okay showing against the Cardinals, had 299 passing yards with 2 touchdowns in a comeback win versus the Broncos, a terrible 4-interception game versus the Bills in Week 3, 290 passing yards versus the Eagles in taking them to overtime, a game versus the Bears where he had passed the ball 51 times for 388 yards in his first 3-touchdown career game versus the Falcons. Sam Howell showed flashes, big time throws down the field, he was showing his strong arm and was a tough runner, things we expected to see early. Sam Howell also struggled, especially with his sacks. Through the first 7 weeks, he was sacked 40 times, having been sacked at least 4 times in each game, most being 9 versus the Buffalo Bills. That could be due to their terrible offensive line, which was disappointing with the money they spent through the offseason. Some of that was also on Sam Howell. Sam Howell struggled reading the field and getting the ball out in a timely manner. Another thing that was noticeable was the effect that Eric Bieniemy had on this offense. The amount of passing plays had been heavily increased. In 5 of the first 7 games, Sam Howell had 30 or more passing attempts and at least 29 passing attempts in all of them. And I believe Sam Howell needed time to adjust to that. The Commanders were 3-4, and the question of Sam Howell as the future was still up in the air. He showed flashes and shown signs of a 5th round quarterback. Before I get into why I wanted to make this video, go ahead and subscribe for more NFL videos just like this. Looking back at the last 3 weeks, and the reason why I wanted to make this video is Sam Howell looks great. Over the last 3 games, he had over 300 yards, 397 yards and 4 touchdowns versus the Eagles, a solid game and win versus the Patriots, and 312 yards and 3 touchdowns versus the Seahawks. I also want to revisit why I say Sam Howell is the bright spot on this Commanders team. The 2 games he looked the best in the last 3 weeks, the Commanders lost. The defense is not helping out Sam Howell, who has shown he can help this offense score. The Commanders have had 5 games where they've scored over 24 points, compared to last year where they only scored 4. I'm not going too deep into it, but Ron Rivera has not been a good coach this year and is very much on the hot seat. The Commanders are 4-6 and most likely not making the playoffs this year. However, Sam Howell has looked like the quarterback for the foreseeable future. He continued making big-time throws, throwing strong passes, and being a tough runner. More importantly, he has gotten better at making decisions and navigating the pocket, getting passes out earlier, reading the field, and escaping the pocket if there's no option. At this moment after Week 10, Sam Howell leads the NFL in passing yards, is 3rd in the NFL in passing touchdowns, has a passer rating of 91.5, has 24 big-time throws which leads the NFL, and has a big-time throw rate of 5.8 which is 6th in the NFL. You can also understand his development the way the media talks about him now. I do want to give credit to Dan Orlovsky for being so thorough with his perspective of Sam Howell's development this season. Sam Howell isn't perfect, but he's shown the growth we wanted to see from him, and maybe the Commanders have finally found their franchise quarterback. And what's your thoughts on Sam Howell? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe for more NFL videos just like this.